Thank you, Katie, for that nice introduction. It's more than I deserve. It's great to be here and see all so many familiar faces and enjoy this wonderful food and gala. It certainly is a long ways in fundraising from the time of having food booths at the county fair. I also want to say hi to all the employees that we had in the past that worked for us. We were fortunate in having the best employees in the world. I thank you for inviting me to share memories of the beginning years of the Aiken Community Hospital. The Aiken Hospital has been intertwined with most of my life. I have so benefited from it. It all began in the 9th grade when Beverly and I met in the principal's office. We became the best of friends for the remainder of our lives. Her father, Ed Wold, was chairman of the hospital board during much of its formative and building years in the late 40s and early 50s. Good memories of Esther Wold's delicious meals of meat, potatoes, gravy, and blueberry pie, along with the dinner time, visiting time, and discussions and stories about the many organizing and fundraising activities regarding the building of the hospital remain. Often guests were present with their many varied opinions and goals. The challenge was to meld them into a course that all could follow. We all know the result of those efforts. This was no doubt very similar to many of your activities during the process of building the new Riverwood facilities with its great improvements and growth. A very early organizing decision that I believe had a strong influence that continues today. It was made when they applied for the federal Hilburton funds. They did this as a community corporation rather than as a political taxing district. I believe that decision set the tone for the great community spirit and cooperation that continues today under the banner of the Riverwood Corporation and Foundation. It encouraged the involvement of the entire Aiken County and beyond. I believe it is a factor in the excellent cooperation that has continued over the years between the doctors of the Cuyuna Range Clinic and the doctors in Aiken. It enabled persons of all political persuasions, religious faiths, professions, trades, and financial levels to not only participate, but actually enjoy each other and develop a feeling of overall ownership of the results. I'm sure that many of you can recall the organizing of the many food sales, fund drives, food booths at the county fair, gathering recipes for cookbook sales, merchandise sales, and many other fundraising activities for both the Aiken Hospital Corporation and the present Riverwood Foundation. Good sources of information about all of this are the records at the Historical Society and Connie Pedersen's articles in the 2009 August and October issues of the Aiken News Hopper. Just tonight I realized the events for most of these memories occurred 40 to 60 plus years ago. I hope I don't bore you with them. I share them to show how welcoming and supporting you all are in the marvelous medical facilities resulting from these many, many years of support. and I finished our internship at Bethesda Hospital in June of '57. Dr. George Pedersen and I had become close friends during the intern year. He had been in practice at Mabel, Minnesota for 4 years and had decided to become an orthopedic surgeon, but then, like many of us, changed his mind. As we worked and visited together, we decided to become partners. After looking at several communities, we visited Aiken. The hospital had opened in 1953. It was operating successfully, but needed more doctors. After visiting with Aiken businessmen, Ed Wold, Jim Clough, Ernie and Joe Thompson, Dick Hassman, and several others, then talking with Drs. Clausway and Petterborg, we thought Aiken was the place to be. The old First National Bank on the Main Street corner had 5 rooms available at the end of a long flight of stairs. They had previously been used as a medical office, so this was where we started. Everyone was very supportive and helpful. There was free rent from the bank, generous loan terms with an easy payment schedule, such as payback when you're able, so that we could purchase necessary supplies and equipment. The adjoining law office of Joe Ryan gave us not only great legal advice, but also the advantage of his generous sharing of his good sense and general knowledge. From the adjoining dentist, Dr. Eggers, we had wonderful stories of Aiken's early history of saloons, lumberjacks, and riverboats. The grocer, Butch Akey, gave us credit, plus free hot dogs to our daughters whenever they were grocery shopping with Mom. Bill Cummings was on the spot to offer us credit to purchase fuel oil for the coming winter. We hired a very capable receptionist, Sherry Hogan, who had just graduated with honors from the Aiken High School. Many of you know her as Mrs. Sherry Home in her years of service and leadership on the board of the Jacques Art Center. She provided a warm, beautiful, welcoming smile to our patients and very capable help to us. We were sorry to see her leave to go with her husband to work. When Mrs. Myrtle Anderson replaced her with her welcoming smile and efficiency. Over the years, we had many wonderful, kind, caring personnel. I'd like to name them all, but I know I would miss some, and that wouldn't be fair. They were all great. As you see, everything was idyllic, but we did need patience.
We did need patience?
Earlier, an article in the Aiken Age stated that Mr. Hoppenstead, a pharmacist in St. Paul, had purchased the old Catholic church in downtown McGregor and was going to start a pharmacy. We contacted him and found he had 2 rooms we could use as a medical office. We agreed to use them and have office hours for 2 afternoons each week. As many of you know, McGregor is located in the center of a large geographical area where many good people lived. They were hardworking woodsmen, farmers, resort owners, stover owners, vacationers, and many other good people who would need to travel long distance for medical care. Soon we were blessed with very busy afternoons. The patients were very gracious and accepting of the rustic surroundings. The waiting room was monitored by the patients, and woe betide that person who tried to jump line. But they are also very efficient in triaging emergencies. During the Asian flu epidemic of the 60s, I remember making house calls throughout the area of Sandy Lake, Tamarack, and Fleming, seeing sick people with the flu. Several had the complication of pneumonia and required hospitalization. They were sent to Aiken, where Dr. Pedersen saw and admitted them, filling the available rooms, plus most of the hallway. Such were the days. We were fortunate to have a warm, welcoming group of physicians here in Aiken and in Crosby. They gave us a congenial, cooperative, competitive feeling of support, respect, and friendship. Doctors Clauseway, Peterberg, Marshall, Kelly, and Nixon were all wonderful, caring, exceptional physicians, who many of you hold dear. All of them were of help and support to the beginning and continuing of our practice. I would like to say a special remembrance to Dr. Marshall. He was a mentor to us all. He had completed a 3-year surgical fellowship at the University of Minnesota and was faced with the choice of remaining at the university and becoming another of Dr. Warrenstein's famous protégés, or serving as a general surgeon in our area. This was the start for other exceptional surgeons to come here after they had made similar decisions. We have all benefited from this decision to come to this area. He began a reputation of excellent surgical care that continues with today's surgeons of the Cuyuna Range Clinic and the tradition of excellent surgical care at the Riverwood and Cuyuna hospitals. You will learn more in the speech the important speech that's coming up about the great surgical care and its cutting edge of present-day surgical care. What was it like in the 60s at the Aiken Hospital? My memory is poor and inaccurate, so forgive the many names of caring, wonderful people that I miss in my recollections. The hospital had 14 double rooms, an 8-bed nursery, a labor room, a delivery room, a surgical room, an emergency room, X-ray laboratory facilities, plus the supporting office and waiting areas. It was a busy place much of the time. Then as now, it was a trauma center for traffic and work accidents, stuck fish hooks, lacerations, and broken bones. The frequency of those accidents doubled during the summer and hunting season. Many were tragic, and we mourn those. But most were minor, and some had a certain irony. My first snowmobile injury was a broken collarbone treated on the 4th of July. At the time, we thought we had such wonderful facilities and capabilities. So looking today at the present Riverwood facilities, we are overwhelmed. The hospital had a very caring and capable staff with Floyd Snodgrass as administrator. They all lived locally, so for better or worse, their care was from friends and relatives. I think it was mostly for the better. For obstetrics, we had the help of Maud Draper. If any of you have watched Call the Midwife, you will know what I mean when I say she would have been the star of the show. She was a nurse midwife who had a maternity hospital in her home prior to the community hospital. When the hospital opened, she was called whenever a lady in labor was admitted. She had come to give care and support to the baby and then call the physician when it was time to deliver. It was a wonderful support for both the mother and the young doctor. The nursery was a busy place in the 60s. When our fourth daughter was born, all nursery beds were full, so the old backup of a dresser drawer was used. Then as now, members of the community were actively involved in daily hospital needs. We initially had a walking blood bank. This was made up of volunteers in the community who would be screened and blood typed and then listed at the hospital. When blood was needed, the person would be the correct type, would be called to come to the hospital and donate blood. It fulfilled a need until it was replaced with the Red Cross blood drives and the Red Cross blood bank. Change comes to us all. So did it come to our practice. In 1971, Dr. Pedersen felt an calling to provide care to the world's needy and hurt. He had the opportunity to serve on the Hope Ship and with regret left to serve. I attempted to continue our practice until I could get another physician to join me. Over the next 2 years, I was still unable to find someone. There were several reasons for this, but the Medicare price freeze at that time was prominent. Medicare charges were frozen at whatever your charges were at the onset of the freeze, which was $2 per office call. When someone who was interested in coming saw this, they lost interest. My stubborn personality might have been a factor also. So when I had an opportunity to join a family practice group in Richfield, I did, and our family moved to the suburbs of Minneapolis with a great deal of trepidation and concern. The community continued to give us support and encouragement with our move. I closed my practice. Dr. Pedersen and I sold our building to the hospital. Mr. Floyd Snodgrass was very helpful in all of this. Mrs. Myrtle Anderson took charge of the closing of the practice. By completely closing the practice, it permitted the hospital to start a completely new practice and establish a new fee schedule that soon attracted a physician to provide care until a permanent replacement could be found. This occurred promptly with the arrival of Dr. Carson, followed by his friend, Dr. Hover. They gave outstanding care and rapidly grew, soon adding Dr. Adams, followed by Dr. Schatzko. That you made a wise choice in selecting these physicians is apparent in the great outcomes of growth and progress that followed. As medical technology increased and improved, along with the increasing volume of care, the need for a larger, more modern hospital and clinic facilities became apparent. So once again, the community resources had to be revitalized. I do not know the time sequence of all of this, but do know the marvelous results of the name change to Riverwood Clinic and the formation of the Riverwood Foundation. Looking from the outside, they found the ideal community leader to lead them in Mr. Mike Ryan. He provided the vision and leadership to mold the necessary community support to build a marvelous campus, to attract the outstanding medical staff, to recruit the capable nursing and supporting personnel you have today. You all in this community can be so very proud of your ability to give graciously and generously of your time, effort, and money to accomplish this so continuously over the years and through the ups and downs of change. I'd like to finish with a personal story that seems to illustrate this history. We had as a patient an elderly widower who lived alone. During the night, he became very ill with abdominal pain. He knew that if he could get to Dutch's Pool Hall, someone would be there to give him aid and care. Sure enough, when they came to open the pool hall early in the morning, they found him lying in the entrance. They took him to the hospital, where after a physical exam and some x-rays, it was found he needed immediate surgery. He had a perforated small intestine from a swallowed toothpick, along with some of the apple peelings that had also gone through the perforation. The foreign objects were removed and the perforation repaired. After a prolonged hospital stay, he recovered and was able to resume visits to Dutch's. Fast forward to 2 summers ago, when my 15-year-old grandson had an ATV accident. The end of the handlebar struck his abdomen when the vehicle hit an obstruction. We took him to the Riverwood Hospital, where he received immediate attention, examined by an excellent, caring emergency physician, had a CT scan of his abdomen, determined to have a ruptured small bowel, and had prompt abdominal surgery, with the finding of an abdomen filled with blueberries that he had enjoyed earlier in the day. The blueberries were removed and the injury repaired. He made a quick recovery. Although the outcomes are similar, there's a huge difference in the 2 settings. Then our decisions relied on our general training, physical exam, and x-rays that even with the best technique were shadows of information. Back then there was no paging systems or cell phones, so the general calling and organizing for the surgery was more difficult and caused a great deal of anxiety and urgency. The contrast with my grandson's experience is a world and years of difference. All of you have had a role in providing the conditions for this. The on-site presence of an emergency physician, laboratory and x-ray technicians on site, state-of-the-art x-ray facilities, and most importantly, the excellent physicians and supporting medical staff to carry it through. This was all done in a competent, caring, efficient manner, giving a feeling of reassurance and calm to the patient and to the family. You can all see why I'm so grateful and thankful for this community. So generous to myself and my family over these many years. First, you've been the source of my start with the building of Aiken Community Hospital and the start of our practice. Secondly, you provided the leadership and stability over these many years of growth and progress that created the environment that enabled the creation of the marvelous facilities and medical staff that gave my grandson such excellent care. These marvelous facilities have also been crucial to the many health visits and for the care of my oldest grandson, John Cummings. I thank you for them all, and thank you so much.